In an alternate world where Bruce Wayne never left Gotham, he would have become the Dark Knight. But what if his first year was very different from what we know? What if Bane broke him? What if this Batman was forever changed by his first encounter with the monster known as Bane? Our story begins with the murder of a prominent Gotham City socialite, Kathy Campbell, who was found dead in her mansion with a broken neck. The police were baffled, but they soon got a lead on the killer when they found some business cards at the scene. They belonged to none other than Thomas and Martha Wayne, Bruce's parents. The police assumed that Thomas must have been hired to kill Kathy, but they soon found out that this was far from the truth. In fact, it turned out that Thomas had been having an affair with Kathy, and when she was found dead, he immediately became the prime suspect. He fled the city, and Bruce was forced to go to the police and tell them that his father was innocent. This caused the press to turn on Bruce, who was now being painted as a liar and a bad seed. All the while, Martha was slowly losing her mind, believing that her husband was a killer. Meanwhile, Thomas was on the run. He tried to get in touch with Kathy's family and tell them that he didn't kill her, but he couldn't get through. So he decided to go to the mansion himself and confront whoever was responsible for Kathy's death. When he arrived, he was met by none other than Bane. Bane told Thomas that he was responsible for Kathy's death and that he had killed her because she had something that belonged to him. He then challenged Thomas to a fight, and when Thomas refused, Bane simply picked him up and threw him off the balcony, killing him instantly. Back at home, Martha was now fully convinced that her husband was a murderer. She went to the police and told them that he had confessed everything to her. They arrested her, and Bruce was forced to watch as his mother was taken away in handcuffs. He swore to himself that he would find the real killer and bring them to justice. At the GCPD, Commissioner Gordon was skeptical of Martha's story, but he didn't have enough evidence to let her go. So he put her in an interrogation room, while he looked into it more. Meanwhile, Bruce was at Wayne Manor, trying to come to terms with what had happened. He knew that his parents were innocent, but he didn't know how to prove it. That's when he got a call from Alfred, who told him that he had found something in Thomas's study. It was a hidden camera. Alfred showed Bruce the footage from the night Kathy was killed. They watched as Thomas entered the mansion and confronted Bane. Bruce saw the fight and how his father was thrown off the balcony. And then he saw Bane leaving the mansion with a strange object in his hand. Bruce knew then that Bane had killed his father. And he also realized that Bane had planted that hidden camera to frame Thomas. Determined to avenge his father, Bruce went to the GCPD and told Gordon what he had seen. At first, Gordon didn't believe him, but after looking into it further, he found that Bruce was telling the truth. Gordon then put out a citywide manhunt for Bane, but Bane was nowhere to be found. Bruce was devastated. Not only had he lost his parents, but now the killer was on the loose. He felt like he had failed them, so he decided to do something drastic. He announced to the press that he would be taking over Wayne Enterprises, and that he would use the company's resources to find Bane and bring him to justice. The press loved it. They finally had someone to blame, and they were willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But Bruce knew that he couldn't just rely on the press. He needed to do something himself. So he began training. He studied every book on crime fighting that he could get his hands on. He trained with the best martial artists in the world. And he even bought some high-tech equipment from Wayne Enterprises. After months of training, he felt like he was ready. Put on a costume that he had designed and became Batman. His first mission was to find Bane. He knew that Bane was responsible for his parents' deaths, but he didn't know where to start looking. Then he got a tip from one of the many informants that Batman had made along the way. This led him to an abandoned warehouse district where Bane was rumored to be hiding. When Batman arrived, he was met by none other than Bane. Bane was surprised to see Batman, but he wasn't afraid. In fact, he welcomed the challenge. Taunted Batman, making fun of his parents and his city. But Batman was ready. He attacked Bane without hesitation. The two fighters were evenly matched at first, but Bane was too strong for Batman. He overpowered Batman and broke his back. As Bane stood over the fallen Batman, he taunted him some more, but Batman didn't respond. He was in too much pain. Bane then picked Batman up and threw him into a nearby dumpster. He left Batman there to die. But Batman was too strong to stay down for long. He pulled himself out of the dumpster and limped away. Bane may have broken Batman's body, but he would never break his spirit. He would train harder than ever before. And one day he would return to take his revenge. But this time, Batman was prepared. Their second encounter would be their last. A few weeks later, Batman would finally get his chance to face Bane again. He had been training non-stop and he was ready for the rematch. When Bane saw Batman, he was surprised to see that he was still alive. He thought he had killed him the first time. But Batman was ready. This time, the fight was close, but Batman managed to get the upper hand. He used his new Batmobile to ram into Bane, knocking him out cold. Batman then took Bane to the GCPD, where he was finally locked up. But this victory came at a price. Batman was badly injured, and he knew that he needed help. He called in Lucius Fox from Wayne Enterprises and told him to create a suit that would allow him to walk again. Lucius worked tirelessly to make this possible, and he eventually succeeded. He created the Batsuit that we all know and love today. With his new suit, Batman was able to walk again, and he continued his fight against crime in Gotham City. But the experience had changed him. He was once a young, idealistic hero, but now he was more like a vigilante. He was willing to do whatever it took to win, even if it meant breaking the law. But despite his methods, Batman was still a hero. The people of Gotham knew it. They cheered him on as he drove away in the Batmobile, vowing to make the city a safer place. As years went on, Batman would go on to face many other villains, but none would break him like Bane did. In fact, he would become even stronger because of it. He would never forget the pain that Bane had caused him, but he would use that pain to fuel his crusade against crime. Now, thanks to Lucius Fox's technological expertise, Batman was able to walk again, but he would forever be in pain. Every step he took was a reminder of the day Bane broke him. But instead of letting this defeat him, Batman used it to make him stronger. He channeled his anger and pain into his work and became even more determined to make Gotham a better place. As time went on, Batman's legend grew, and he became a symbol of hope for the people of Gotham. But behind the mask, Bruce Wayne was still haunted by the day Bane broke him. He knew that no matter how strong he became, Bane could always come back and try to break him again, so he never let his guard down. He continued to train and hone his skills so that he would be ready for whenever Bane returned. Now, while Batman was able to physically defeat Bane, the psychological scars remained. Whenever he heard a loud noise or felt sudden movement, he would flinch. He was constantly on edge, waiting for the next attack. Even the smallest things would trigger memories of the day he was broken. For example, he would often see young boys playing in the streets, and it would remind him of how Bane had taunted him about being a fatherless child. This would send him into a rage, and he would have to be careful not to hurt anyone. In addition to these physical and emotional scars, Batman also suffered from survivor's guilt. He felt like he didn't deserve to survive while so many innocent people had died. He often questioned why he was spared when others weren't. This guilt would sometimes cause him to put himself in danger. He would purposely put himself in harm's way in order to atone for his survival. For example, he would often go into dangerous parts of town alone without any backup. He didn't want to burden his allies with his problems. He felt like it was his responsibility to suffer alone. Overall, Batman's life was forever changed the day Bane broke him. While he was able to overcome these obstacles, he would never be the same again. The pain, both physical and emotional, would stay with him for the rest of his life.